What's good, family? It's your girl Wisdom, and we are back with another episode. I know it's been a minute, but it's never a minute too long. What y'all been up to? How are y'all doing? How y'all feeling? I know we done had a few full moons and new moons since the last time I spoke to y'all. Where's y'all energy at? How we feeling since the last past videos? What's going on? Let me know. Drop it in the comments because I need to know if y'all okay. On this episode, we are talking about how the ego is an ass. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. When have I ever censored myself? Let me not. I know, look, okay. Let's be honest, y'all. I know I said, I'm going to try to stop cursing because I'm a lady and I'm going to try to be ladylike. But I don't really think this video calls for that. I don't really think it calls for that. So you know what we're going to say? The ego can be a butthole. That's what I'm going to say. On this episode, we are talking about how the ego can be a butthole, because it can be, and there are certain times where the ego wants to be in charge, and there are other times where you're in charge and you tell the ego, go sit your ass down in a corner. See, this is what I'm saying. Censor where? And I feel like this episode don't need to be censored, because I feel like it's an important way for me to get on y'all behind, because y'all have been doing some stuff that y'all don't need to be doing when it comes to downplaying yourself, downplaying your truth, and downplaying your worthiness. So I'm gonna get on you. This my mad hat of finger. It's not direct, but it's for you. So I'm calling you out. So this episode came to me when I was scrolling through my phone after my walk. And usually during my walk, I like to take a little sit down, chill, do a little breaky break, and, just be one with nature, right? And I had finally decided to get on my phone just to check the internet, because I hadn't been on it the past few days, right? And I took a break. I took a much needed break from just posting constantly and just from being on content and everything like that, just so I could decompress. And plus, I've been doing some other stuff that I'm super excited about to share with you guys. So I cannot wait to drop that, and y'all can be in the loop of what's going on. But yeah, so I sit down, I start scrolling, and I see a good friend of mine, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this. This is so cool. I was like, why don't I do this? And I was like, oh, I should do this more. That way I get my numbers up. That way I get my numbers up on TikTok, and my numbers up on YouTube, and my engagement, right? I was solely focused on the engagement and the likes, and I should do this because this will get me more likes, right? So then I go to my profile because I had some notifications, and I see a comment. Shout out to Mazu. Mazu, if you're watching this, thank you so much, Mazu. He knows who he is. He made a comment on my TikTok, and he said, he was just thanking me. I'm going to put it somewhere. Probably going to put it somewhere on here. But he was thanking me from a video that I had made probably a month ago. And higher self now was basically bro, you tripping. What? What do you mean you need to make content like this? Or you need to make more content like this? Waterfalls on my laptop as I'm talking about this. See, the spirits be knowing. Y'all. But they were like, what do you need? What do you mean? You need to make more content like this, or you need to make content like this, or your engagement get up. You already do. What do you are a motivational speaker. What are you talking about? You trigger people's innermost thoughts. What are you talking about? You do that already. So, the ego. Go sit down. Ego. And you know what's so funny? Because within the last few weeks, I have been deprogramming. I've been doing a lot of that from just things that I've gone through in my past, of how, people took advantage of my energy, took advantage of my presence, and, they they take, and they do not give, right? And then they use my energy in order to level up themselves, right? And no matter where I go, I know that I am the spark in the room, no matter, and not just my physicality, but just like my presence, my energy, my voice, and where I come with, right? And I was doing all this debunking and releasing, and then I realized most of the debunking of a limited mindset or feeling pressure to do things has come from other people. And it's come from this programming that gets instilled in us as we go on our journeys, where people say, well, you should do this. You should do this because this will get you more engagement. Or you should do this because this is what everybody else is doing and this is how this makes more money. Or you should really be doing this because this is what everybody else does and this is what we've seen work. And if you're the anomaly, I don't know if I said that correctly, but we're going to keep it. the anomaly, y'all know what I'm trying to say. If you are the person that's the unorthodox, or you're the person that's outside of the status quo, well, we can't bet on you. We can't invest in, we can't, we know, y'all know we debunked that word last time, but using this as an example, they will say, we can't invest in you because you're the person that thinks outside of the box. And thinking outside the box, we don't have security for that. And so that is why we will poke and pick at you, because we don't know, these are great ideas, but we don't know if we can really make something out of this great idea that you have. And then they go and take that great idea and then they make money off of it. Y'all know what I'm talking about, especially in the art world. But thinking about all of this, all consolidated in one, I was like, hold on. The collective needs this message of how much the ego can make you feel shitty, right? The ego can make you feel crappy for knowing yourself and knowing who you are authentically. And it will make you feel crappy for elevating who you know that you want to be. Right. And so I feel like this conversation is so important of how many times do we allow the ego to take the lead when the ego is not in control. And when I just say ego, when I'm speaking about the ego, I just mean the parts in the side of ourselves, that's the negative voice in our head, the negative Nancy, right? I know I talk about this a lot. Or the parts of ourselves that is self-sabotaging of a decision or an action we're getting ready to take because the ego is new to this, right? Especially like when you receive new information, you know, what's the first thing that most people jump to when they receive new information based off their own experiences? They're ready to like debunk it and say no and put their walls up, right? That's the ego. That's what the ego does, right? Because it's so embedded in, well, this is what I know. And this is what I've always experienced. And I haven't experienced anything else other than this. So if you show me something else different, I think you're lying. And I think I know best because I'm the ego. And because I know best, I'm going to tell you to do this because this keeps us in our secure and safe, happy place. And I don't know what the hell is out there, but it's like a rainforest with gorillas and waterfalls and big ass mosquitoes. I'm channeling. I don't know where the fuck that came from, but I'm channeling. But the ego is scared. The ego, because there's no security, or at least it feels like there's no security, right? So with that being said, it is so important to debunk the ego. To tell the ego to go sit down, go sit in a corner, and to tell the ego, motherfucker, you tripping. You're playing yourself hard. Playing yourself. Because what you're trying to instill in the me now is not the version of who I am or will ever be, ever again. And just because you have chosen not to level up doesn't mean that I don't have to. That's how you got to talk to your ego. You got to show him or her who's boss. Or they or them, you know, for my people. We are inclusive. They or them. But you got to show them who's boss. And be like, what's good? What's good? You trying to fight today? Oh, I got some for your ass, ego. I got some for you. and that can look like affirmations, right? Like restoring your self-worth, restoring that confidence within yourself, restoring that you know your strengths and you know your abilities and you know what you come with. But also too, you know, the ego is very much also embedded in, well, I don't know anything outside of what I've experienced. So, me going and diverting to something else that's completely unheard of, completely unthought of, that I never thought of myself being in a position to be in, is so fathomable, was so unfathomable for me. And now you got to be like, well, now, ego, there's an opportunity here for us to show our greatness, to show the thing that we had to hide and keep in the background because we had to. We had to in order to protect ourselves. We had to in order to get through survival. And sometimes that happens, the ego can protect us in those certain ways. The ego can remind us of what not to do because when we did do something that was extraordinary and we got thrown out into the jungle, it wasn't a good idea, right? So the ego remembers those things. The body digests those things. And it's like, okay, well, this is how we know the best way to respond in this situation. And what you have to say to those parts of yourself that is having a hard time to grow, you have to say like, hold on, we're in a new space. We're in a new mindset where we're trying to live life with ease, where we're not trying to pressure ourselves into things that don't feel natural for us. So what that comes with is you getting in alignment with me. If I'm changing, you changing too. All right. If the moons are changing, the seasons is changing, we changing too. And if you're not going to change, you're going to sit in this corner with your back turned. And you can pout, you can piss, you can boohoo and cry. I don't care. But at the end of the day, you need me and I need you. Because the ego does help you, remind you of where not to be, right? It'll remind you of how to shield and protect, right? It'll remind you of the ways in which of where you came from and the places that you don't have to go back to by choice, right? Everything's a choice. Everything is a choice. As I was getting prepped and ready for this video, a song that had came through was Kendrick Lamar, You Ain't Gotta Lie. That was from To Pimp a Butterfly. Y'all should definitely check that song out. I will link that in the description box as well. And I was listening to the lyrics to that song and it was like, you ain't gotta lie to kick it, ma. You ain't gotta lie. You ain't gotta lie. And you don't have to be a different version of yourself, and you don't have to allow your ego to lead in order to get the admiration and the success and the love that you are looking for, because it comes from you first. I know that was like a deep dive, but I had to I had a little Doechii and Doja Cat moment. But you don't have to be this person that society tells you to be, or that society has programmed and instilled in you to be, in order to get to the thing that you want to get to. You can create a whole new lane for yourself and allow your new self to emerge. You can allow your new self to emerge and literally go against the grain. So I had to remind myself, girl, you are already doing the thing and already the person that you're over here claiming that you're not. Why we self-sabotaging, boo? Now, mind you, this was like over a period of a few weeks, right? Of just like, you realize how your mind can be so deceptive, right? And then fully on today, because I started implementing practices where I was just like, no, don't say that to yourself, because that is not for your highest wellness. I was like, don't say that to yourself, because that is not for your highest success. Like I was just telling myself no. And then when I finally caught it today, like in the act, I was like, bitch, you tripping. You would do this like it was natural? That's not okay. No. Leave that back where it belongs. So just to get y'all aware, think about how many times a day, right? Or even in the past, especially if you are making that transition as well, right? Welcome to the family. But think of how many times you allow the ego, somebody else's projection, or societal programming to literally deter you from what you know to be true about yourself. Just think about that for a second. Think about how many times you literally took that nudge and then was just like, well, I guess I ain't shit. I guess I'm not as successful as I think I am because society says I need to be waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning, that I need to be doing my art for 90 hours straight. Right? Or even like getting like on YouTube or Instagram, they have like those clickbait titles in order to get you to buy something, or buying your attention, because buying things is not just with money, y'all. Buying things is with your attention, and that is called great marketing. I'm just saying. It's great marketing. Don't knock a hustler. I get it. But think about that. Like, we literally buy into our energy, our awareness, our worthiness, our self-confidence, what we know to be true about ourselves. And then all of a sudden we have this new identity that's not even ours to begin with. That is not even a part of the path that we're supposed to be on in order to carry out the mission that we're supposed to carry out in our lifetime. So think about that. You already create the art that inspires. You already have the messages and the enlightenment that inspires. A part of building that relationship with yourself is also to knowing when to check yourself when you tripping. Be like, hey, go sit your behind down. You doing too much. Go lay down. You need a nap. Right? Or knowing when to take accountability, right? And be like, hey, I don't think that was the best way to say that. Or, hey, I don't think we should be thinking those thoughts, because that's not us. That doesn't keep us in our highest alignment, right? And then third, just knowing when to take care of yourself, to be graceful and compassionate with yourself, and be like, hey, it's okay to cry right now. You've been going through a lot. You cry. I need you to cry, okay? Because then we're going to feel better. We're going to feel rejuvenated once you do that. Or, hey, it's okay that you not up on your art game like you want to be right now. You've been going through a lot. You've been doing a lot of stuff. It's okay. Take a break and then we come back to it. The ego will literally lie and deceive you and make you feel and think you are inadequate. And this is why I say it's so important to build a healthy relationship with yourself, all parts of yourself, okay? The higher self, your shadow self, your past self, ego self, they're all different names from it. It's all you, right? It's all a part of you. But it's so important to build these relationships with these parts of yourself, even your inner child, because y'all know I talk about this a lot. If you need some inner child healing, come work with me. Come work with your girl. But it's so important to build these healthy relationships and understand why they act the way that they act. Okay, so why is my inner child triggered by what so-and-so said to me? Or why is my ego triggered by this societal norm or this pressure that I'm feeling? Or why does my present and higher self love doing this so much? And how can I implement this more into my life? These are things that you have to pay attention to, because when you start building a different type of relationship with yourself, can't nobody tell you nothing. Can't nobody try to come and infiltrate on your energy and try to persuade you to move a different way, because you know you and you know how you are. So like, using myself as an example, I like communication. I love it. Okay. It shows up through my art. It shows up in how I communicate with y'all through my videos, right? And communication also has its shadow side, because when I was younger, a lot of people would just tell me what to do as opposed to explaining why. And I'm a curious George when it comes to anything. Like, I love an explanation. And I don't like being controlled. And I realize I love communication so much because it allows me to connect with people in a different way, which is why I have a boundary now. If you don't communicate, we ain't friends. I can't do it. It will drive me nuts. I just can't. No, communicate, please. And for me, communication is not so much like, you need to tell me your whole life story, because sometimes I don't got the patience for that, and neither do my ancestors. But communication can be easy as, I don't feel like talking about it today. Can we talk about it another time or whatever, right? Like, it's just like simple ways of being more open with people so that we can learn how to understand each other. And that's like a huge thing for me. So, taking that as an example, you got to figure out, okay, how does my shadow self like to go hide? Like, how does it like to just be like, I don't want nobody knowing my business and what I be going through, and I'm gonna put on this mask, right? How does the shadow self like to do that? Because right? Or how does the ego like to big up itself and be like, I'm the baddest chick in the room, da 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 da, or I'm the toughest homie in the room. How does it like to big up itself to make it feel, and is that healthy? Right? That's the big question that I have to ask. Is that healthy for your wellness? Is that healthy for where you need to thrive, for your mission in life? You have to be respectful in the different ways in which those parts of yourself show up. And you have to have open communication with those parts of yourself. That way, when somebody do trigger you, you ain't just reacting. You saying, hold on, how's that making me feel? How do I know how to respond? And if having no response at all is the best response for right now, then I ain't gonna respond until I'm ready. Right? And yeah, so once you build that relationship with yourself and you have an open communication with yourself, then you can have that with other people. And then to even bring that into a broader standpoint, you will have a different communication with your artwork. It will actually feel like the artwork that you're creating is actually in tune with you and the values that you carry within your life. So, as I was finishing my walk, I thought this segment was kind of funny, and I feel like I should just talk about it. So, another part of your ego is your ego being jealous of you. I know, it sounds so weird, right? Like, my own ego, me jealous of me. How does that make sense? Yes. The ego, you, the old part of you, the part of you that once existed, that had to thrive on survival mode, right? That thought nothing was ever going to happen to them that would benefit their life, or that they felt was too far out of reach that they couldn't tap into. Yeah, that part of yourself is jealous of you now because they didn't think that you could do it. They didn't think that you would rise to the occasion and transform your actions and transform your mindset, right? And shift your perspective. They didn't think you could do that because their mind was so limited. Their mind was so programmed and skewed to believe like this is as good as it gets, right? And you out here was just like dipping and dabbling and was just like, nah, anything is possible. I could do anything. And ego, you tripping to believe that I am only limited to this space, to this environment, to this frequency. And yeah, the ego can be jealous of you, just like other people can be jealous of you, and they can program that energy into you for you to feel like you have to be at war with yourself. And you don't have to be at war with yourself. You have to do the exact opposite of what the ego tells you that you can't do. So if the ego tell you that you can't create this art because you ain't got the right skills to do it anyway. And then show your ego up. Because clearly your ego is in competition with you. And you got to be like, competition where? It's just me. So, as always, y'all know how I get at the end of my videos. And we always have a little takeaways. So let's do it. One thing to ask yourself is this a way, is this a thought or a response that's for my highest wellness? Or is this a thought or a response that is to deceive me and to make me feel inadequate and make me feel less of myself? So that is something that I would definitely pay attention to when those thoughts come to mind. And also to stop doom scrolling. Get off the phone. Get off the phone. Comparison is the thief of joy. Y'all know I've said it before, and plenty of other great people in the world have said it too. Stop comparing yourself. Get off the phone. The more time, the time that you spend comparing yourself is the time that you could spend admiring yourself. So just stop it. All right. It's the thief of joy. So create a new way of what your joy feels like when you admire yourself. All right. And when it comes to admiration, think about the parts and the ways in which you can honor yourself more and the ways that you haven't done it. So the people that like inspire you and that you support, what are the ways that you can push that energy back onto you? Like, what are ways that I can like big up myself more? That I can honor myself more. I can commend myself more for doing X, Y, and Z. And how does that look like? And what does that implementing look like in my everyday life? People are so quick to be like, oh, championing yourself is a response from the ego. And in some ways it is, you know, when you are doing it from a place of arrogance and you're doing it from a place where it's fueling you in a not so good place. But there's nothing wrong with being like, bro, I'm proud of you. Or, oh my gosh, sis, like, this looks great. Or like, dang, what you said was like really true and I need that. Just like other people need that. And I'm so proud of you for just putting yourself out there for that. You know, so take these as just some recommendations and explanations, write them in your journal. And also too, let me know what some ways in which y'all speak wellness into yourself. What are ways in which that y'all admire yourself? What are y'all affirmations? Drop them down below, because you never know if somebody else is in need of something that enlightens you and inspires you every day. Also, keep in mind, the ego won't stop until you tell it to stop. And what I mean by that is, if you don't tell a bully to shut up, that bully gonna keep poking and pushing and thinking they have control over you when they don't. So you gotta be like, hey, we good over here. I can handle my business over here. We don't need you over here. And then they be like, oh, okay, well, she not gonna entertain me no more, so I'm gonna just sit down. And the ego, what they do, they go and sit down in the corner. And then they try to infiltrate something else later down the line. It's life. And so you have to question yourself, are you tired of letting them win? That's the big question. Are you tired of letting your ego win? And if you ain't tired, then this message is not for you. But if you tired like me, I've been tired, then show up for yourself. Show up for yourself, because it's going to make all the change, and it's going to open you up to more opportunities. It's going to open you up to new experiences. It's going to open you up to new ideas and perspectives, and a new level of confidence of you not thinking that you can get somewhere, and now that you can. If you have made it to the end of this video, I just want to say thank you, because you could be anywhere else. You could be doom scrolling, right? But you chose to be here and be present for you and get enlightened, right? And then you chose to support me. So thank you very much. As always, if you're interested in doing a one-on-one session when it comes to your artistry or spiritual work, you can always connect with me and book an appointment with me. All those links can be found down below. And also too, if you want more in-depth and actually want to go through a course that does not break the bank, make sure y'all join the Patreon, because I have stuff there that will take you through how to journal if you are not a journaling person, if it's your first time of doing that. And it'll also take you through how to implement those practices that we're learning here, how you can implement those practices in your life more in depth. And also too, I give y'all a little free stuff on the side too. So be sure to check out the Patreon as well. But other than that, until next time, I will see y'all on the next episode.